Now, as the economic woes grow across the African continent, the opposition parties in many countries are tapping into the public discontent. From South Africa in the south to Tunisia in the north, and even Senegal and Kenya, Monday is likely to witness protests in several African countries. In South Africa, the Economic Freedom Fighters, one of the main opposition parties, has called for a national shutdown in South Africa. Thousands are taking part in these demonstrations called by the opposition, which is the third largest party of the country. It called for protest against the rolling blackouts, increasing unemployment rate and recent corruption scandals. The party is calling for President Cyril Ramaphosa to step down. The opposition party said that while these demonstrations have been initiated by them, everyone is free to take part in it. People are also seen marching across streets with banners that read, "Ramaphosa must go." Meanwhile, the government has called for the protests to be peaceful and warned that any lawlessness and violence will not be tolerated. Around 3,000 soldiers have been deployed along with police, crime intelligence and private securities to prevent these demonstrations from turning violent. However, the protesters could be seen clashing with security forces in Johannesburg. Reportedly, some demonstrators have already been arrested. Businesses are also taking extra caution at this time. While some have decided to close down due to the fears of looting, others have decided to remain open. The High Court has not declared the shutdown as illegal. It did state that the EFF and its members are prohibited from shutting down schools, stores or businesses. The court further said that the party cannot stop any trade of traffic on public goods.
Is not a permission we're seeking. We're giving them information so that they can organize alternative routes. They confuse that to be seeking a permission. There is a constitutional court decision that nobody requires a permission to protest.
The anti-government protests are being witnessed in Kenya, Senegal and Tunisia as well. People are expressing discontent against the high cost of living in Tunisia. Meanwhile, in Senegal, tensions are on the rise due to the politically charged leader of main opposition leader, Ousmane Sonko. If convicted, Sonko may be ineligible to stand as a candidate in the 2024 election. Kenyans too are expressing their anger. The Kenya opposition leader, Raila Odinga, urged people to assemble at Nairobi city centre for mass demonstrations against increasing cost of living. The Kenyan president urged the opposition leader to not cause disruptions.
My good friend Raila Odinga, you cannot, enough is enough. You cannot continue to blackmail the country. And we have no problem with you organized demonstration. But please, it is your responsibility to work with the police to make sure that the rest of the citizens of Kenya, their lives are not disrupted, their property is not destroyed, their business is not affected, they can go to work, you can carry out your demonstration.
Now, meanwhile, the opposition leader, Raila Odinga, also said that the protests are against the government's refusal to allow the audit of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission for possible malpractice.
Take note that on 20th March of 2023, we have a date with Destiny in Nairobi. On that day, our supporters throughout the country shall stage a massive procession in Nairobi for a legitimate and inclusive government. Save that date. We thank you and let the action begin.
And the economic woes continues to grow across the African continent. The opposition parties in many countries are tapping into the public discontent. Now, from South Africa in the south to Tunisia in the north and even Senegal in Kenya, Monday, that is today, is likely to witness protests in several African countries. In South Africa, the Economic Freedom Fighters, one of the main opposition parties, they have called for a national shutdown in South Africa. Scores of protesters are also taking part in these demonstrations called by the opposition, which is the third largest party of the country. They called for protest against several issues like rolling blackouts, increasing unemployment rate and recent corruption scandals. For more on this, our correspondent Calden Ogmo is joining us live from Johannesburg. Hi Calden, you are joining us from Johannesburg, which is one of the protest sites. Get us up to speed with what is actually happening on the ground and how does the security situation look like?
So currently I've actually moved to Pretoria. It's in Gauteng province, just like Johannesburg. Pretoria is the administrative capital of South Africa and it's around about 45 to 1 hour from Johannesburg. Pretoria is also one of the hotspots for the protest that is planned by EFF today. You can see behind me for yourself, large number of army has been deployed. We've seen police presence everywhere in around this area. However, we haven't seen any protesters as of now, and that is kind of a bit of a shocking, considering that there were a number of students that protested in Braamfontein, in Johannesburg, in my previous location, throughout the night, and even in other parts of the country. Police this morning actually updated, saying there's an updated number. 75 people have been arrested so far since last night. Now, remember, as you mentioned in your intro, this national shutdown has been initiated by South Africa's third largest party, that's the Economic Freedom Fighters, the EFF. They've done this saying that, they are fed up of the current state of the country. They want Ramaphosa to step down immediately. They said they are calling for the stop to load shedding. The rolling blackout that the country is currently going through, and also high level of crime due to high unemployment rate, as they say. But this national shutdown has not been accepted by all. The government definitely has condemned this, saying, EFF is just doing this as one of the political tools. They say, it is enshrined in the Constitution of South Africa. Every citizen can protest, provided it's peaceful. Most of the people are expecting this protest to be very violent. They fear that this might be a repeat of what happened in July 2021, where there was looting. More than 350 people died, and South Africa, it cost South Africa economy billions of rand. But today, as of now, where I'm situated here, if I can just move out of the frame a bit, I've seen only deployment of these armies. Now, remember, President has announced that about 3,000, more than 3,000 military has been deployed to take charge of the situation. EFF has called on every citizen, saying that this will not just be EFF members participating in this protest. They've called on every member of the society to join this protest. And last night, actually, we saw in some of these areas, the people have actually started burning tires. They're barricading roads, especially in smaller townships. But the government has clearly said that you are allowed to protest, but they will not tolerate any anarchy, any looting, any kind of violence. If protesters, they want to protest peacefully, they're allowed to do so. But as soon as the protests turn violent, the boots are on the ground. Number of police officers we've seen this morning are also patrolling every area, not just in Gauteng province where Pretoria and Johannesburg is situated, but across the country as well.
Right, Calden, I was just coming to that the bigger question that arises here is that will the shutdown in South Africa end power cuts and force South African President Cyril Ramaphosa to leave the office?
Calls for President Cyril Ramaphosa to step down hasn't been called just by EFF. There's been other opposition parties also calling for Ramaphosa to step down, not just for the current power cuts that's going on, but also for the allegations of corruption in his Falafala Farmgate scandals. There's been a lot of court cases. In fact, even today, there's a court case. A number of political parties, civil organizations have taken government to the court to address the current country's blackouts. So calls for Ramaphosa to step down is not, has not started last night or today. This call for him to step down has been going on for quite a few months now. You saw last year when the ANC went on to the conference, that was the time, people thought he might address something. But because Ramaphosa got re-elected in the ANC conference, as a president of the country, then people were sure that he is here to stay. He will not step down anytime soon. He said time and again, he has reiterated that the country is going through a lot. The government is taking every measures possible to address this electricity issue. In fact, just recently, actually, Ramaphosa introduced a new portfolio in his cabinet, right, saying Minister of Electricity has been introduced just to take charge of the country's rolling blackouts. We've seen, actually, I don't know whether it's coincident or what, but in the last few days since the EFF has called for this national shutdown, the country hasn't been experiencing much of power cuts. In fact, yesterday it was the first day since in this year I can confidently say that the country did not experience any load shedding. Even today, there's been no schedule for load shedding. So people are actually on social media debating, is this what the country has to do in order for the government to just provide a simple service delivery, just as electricity? Should there be more violent protests? Should people announce protests time and again? And by the way, this is not the first protest that the country is going to see. There's been several other protests called in by civil organizations, concerned citizens throughout the year, even last year. But this EFF national shutdown, which everybody fears, EFF is, like I mentioned earlier, is the third largest political party, but they are known for taking out number of people, thousands of people on the street. We've seen their protests earlier, and they are known for taking out large number of people on the streets. So maybe as the day progresses, we will see more people picketing wherever they can, because remember, there is not a specific places where people will be picketing. Even the EFF leader himself did not mention, unlike the other protests where they do mention where they are gathering, how many people will be gathering. He did not mention. He said people are going to be everywhere. This is Union Building. They said people are going to be here. They are going to be in Joburg. They are going to be all over the country. If people want to go to influential business places like Sandton, he said people must go there. If people want to go close to where the president office is in Union Buildings, people must go there. So there is no specific location. It is very strategically planned, but I can tell you the police visibility, be it in land or sea or air, we've been seeing number of choppers flying.
I'm afraid we'll have to let you go at this moment. Thanks very much for getting us up to speed on this. We will, of course, be tracking this very closely on WION. Thanks very much.
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.